In 5 days, a piece of American rocket hardware is going to slam into the moon at over 5,000 miles an hour. Nobody can stop it. Nobody is even in charge of stopping it. This same kind of thing happened once before, back in 2022, and it left behind a mystery scientists still cannot fully explain. A crater with 2 separate impact points from an object that should have only made one. Now it is happening again, and this time it is hitting the side of the moon we can actually see from our backyards. We know the exact moment of impact down to the 10th of a second, and what we learn from it could change how we protect every astronaut who ever sets foot on the moon again. Let's start with what is actually falling out of the sky. On January 15th, 2025, a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Florida carrying 2 private moon landers, one built by a Texas company called Firefly Aerospace, the other by a Japanese company called ispace. Firefly's lander, nicknamed Blue Ghost, pulled off something no private company had ever fully done before: a completely successful moon landing. The Japanese lander was not so lucky. It lost contact about 90 seconds before touchdown and crashed. Here's the part almost nobody talks about, though. The rocket stage that carried both of those landers up there, a piece of hardware roughly the size of a 5-story building, did not have enough fuel to come home, and nobody sent it anywhere safe either. So, for the last year and a half, it has just been drifting. Scientists estimate its weight somewhere between 8,800 and 10,000 pounds, and they still cannot agree on the exact number. It has been looping around Earth in a lopsided orbit, swinging out past 300,000 miles and back to around 135,000 miles, missing the moon by a hair's width in cosmic terms, over and over. Its luck finally ran out. And here is something that should honestly bother you. This collision was not caught by NASA. It was not caught by the Space Force or any government tracking system on the planet. It was flagged by one guy, an astronomer named Bill Gray, who runs a small tracking project out of his own homemade software, sifting through leftover telescope data that nobody else wanted. Think about that for a second. Military radar can track a lost glove floating near a space station. But push that same object all the way out to the moon, and the radar signal drops off by roughly 25 billion times. Out there, we are basically flying blind unless somebody happens to notice. This is not even the first time this has happened. Back in March of 2022, a different dead rocket stage hit the far side of the moon, the side we can never see from Earth, no matter how good your telescope is. Everybody figured it was an old SpaceX rocket. They were wrong. Independent astronomers matched the paint chemistry and traced it back to a Chinese rocket stage from 2014. China has never once acknowledged the impact. And when NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter finally photographed the site months later, it found something nobody predicted. Not one crater, but 2, sitting right next to each other. That kind of double crater only happens when there is real weight on both ends of whatever hit the ground. But a standard rocket stage is basically a hollow tube with an engine bolted to one end. Nobody has ever explained where the extra mass came from. It is still an open case today. Which brings us to why this next impact actually matters, beyond just being something cool to watch. This time, we know exactly what is hitting the moon before it happens. We know the rough weight, the shape, the speed, and the exact angle it is coming in at. On August 5th, at 2:34 in the morning Eastern Time, this thing slams into the ground near a crater called Einstein on the moon's near side, traveling about 5,400 miles an hour, roughly 7 times the speed of sound, hitting with the punch of about 3 tons of TNT. One research team, led by University of Texas researcher William Joe, estimates the debris spike could shoot up somewhere between 47 and over 60 miles high, possibly throwing as much as 800,000 pounds of moon dust and rock into space. A separate team led by planetary scientist Benjamin Fernando predicts the crater itself will land somewhere around 90 feet wide and 16 feet deep. For the first time, scientists get to check their math against a crater they predicted in advance, instead of guessing backward after the fact like they have had to do with every meteor strike in history. If the crater comes back clean and singular, the physics holds up. If it looks anything like that 2022 mystery, we are right back to square one on something we thought we understood. Now here's the part that should really get under your skin. There is currently no agency, no office, no treaty anywhere on Earth whose job it is to track or manage dead rockets floating around past Earth orbit, all the way out to the moon. Close to home, we have got the whole system: collision warnings, debris catalogs, tracking updates every single day. Cross a certain distance out toward the moon, though, and all of that oversight just disappears. This particular rocket stage could have been steered into a safe orbit around the sun instead. It is called heliocentric disposal, and SpaceX has done it before, including as recently as this past November for another moon mission. It just was not required this time. And with NASA's Artemis program ramping up, and private companies racing each other to build the next moon lander, there is going to be a lot more dead hardware drifting through that same blind spot in the years ahead. So will you actually be able to see this thing happen? Here's the honest answer. The flash itself, that split-second burst of light when metal meets rock, will probably not be visible. The impact site sits in broad daylight on the moon, and this rocket is coming in too slow, relatively speaking, to throw off a bright flash. NASA actually tested this exact scenario back in 2009, deliberately crashing a spent rocket stage into the moon's dark side with every big telescope pointed right at it. Even under perfect conditions, they saw nothing. But the debris cloud is a different story, because the impact site sits almost exactly on the visible edge of the moon as we see it from Earth. That dust cloud could show up silhouetted against pitch black sky for a few precious minutes if you are looking in the right place at the right time. If you are anywhere in the eastern half of the United States, the moon will already be up around midnight to 1 a.m. on August 5th. Grab a decent pair of binoculars or a basic backyard telescope if you have got one, and keep your eyes locked on the edge of that moon. Because whether we get a visible dust cloud, a clean single crater, or another unsolved mystery like the one from 2022, this is the first time in human history that regular people get to watch a predicted moon impact happen live, instead of finding out 3 months later from a satellite photo. If this kept you hooked, do me a favor. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when the photos come back. Drop a comment with what you think we're going to find, and share this with the guy in your life who still can't believe nobody's in charge of watching this stuff.